Hey, it's your girl Nicole from the Risers Hub podcast. Happy new week. Happy new podcast day. How you doing? I am in hot blankety blank Dallas, Texas, visiting my little brother, his new wife, and new baby. Yes, my brand new niece, Amaya, my very first niece, after, 27 years of being a mom. They've been so welcoming. Amaya is the cutest little baby I have ever seen since 2002. Shout out to Mars. Let me tell you something. It's crazy to see my little brother, who I still see as a kid myself, have his own baby. He was my first baby that I took care of at such a young age. Both of our parents worked. So I was the one taking care of him and my little sister. He was so cute. And now that he has his own little crumb snatcher, it's funny to see. It's amazing to see. And she's just adorable. She reminds me so much of my girls when they were little. There's been a lot of conversation and questions about being a parent here in this house. And, I have to admit, I don't remember a lot. I remember it being a lot of work. I remember I felt like I had to sanitize everything. And then, you're sitting back thinking about, what kind of mother you want to be and how everything is going to go down and, how you're going to discipline, how you're going to take care of them. And it was just a lot of work. And I look back and I don't know well, let me tell you something. To be honest with you, I don't have that kind of energy anymore. You have to have a lot of energy and love and compassion because it's a lot of work. If you're a traditional family where the husband's out there doing his thing and the mom has to stay home and take care of the crumb snatchers, and it's one of the hardest jobs that you can take on. If it's not traditional and you're a single parent, I've had the now I can look back and say this, but when you're in it, you can't say it. But I've had the honor of being both, and double the work, double the parenting. It's a lot. And I look back and I wouldn't take back anything I had to go through because that hard work, for me at least, it paid off. I've had friends where it was much harder. The kids were a lot more challenging and it took them longer to get to where they are. But again, it pays off. You still love your kid no matter what path they decide to take. And so today I want to talk about time. I want to talk about parenthood and family wellness. If you're a woman who decided not to have kids, but your family looks a little bit different, this conversation can be for you as well because we're all building a family in the way that we see it, in the way that it works for us. And there's a lot of us who are my age. I'm an older parent now. And, you're always a parent, but at the same time, you also have to differentiate what it looks like to just be a friend as well, because your kids grow up and they do have their own opinions and they do see life very differently than what you see it. And you may see your parenting style and your family life very different than what your kids see it or what your siblings see it as. And so I want to talk about all of that today and just think about what it looks like for you and what you want to build and what you want to use as resources and how you want to raise your kid. Because the way I raise my kids is not the same way someone else raised their kids. Our society also plays a very big factor in how we raise our kids. I remember at some point my youngest one was telling me, if you could have just raised me like this. And let me tell you, I wanted to hurt her that day. But when I really sat back and listened to what she had to say, it takes me a few days to kind of let things marinate. Their vision of how they grew up and what they saw was very different than what I saw. I'm a parent and a person who protects people who are around me. And being in a society where everything is black and white, red or blue, adult, child, in my mind, I'm very protective. And so the way that I raised my kids was in a very protective way. And so I want you to just, you know, listen to the things I'm sharing, take what you can take, don't take what you don't need. And, build your family the way that you feel best suits you. But first, I'm going to start with remembering how it is to be a young mom, a young parent. And being a mom often means putting everyone else's needs before your own. But today, I want us to pause and reflect on those early days of parenthood. And remember that time when we were young, feeling both exhilarated and overwhelmed, sleepless nights, endless pampers, and a love that seemed to expand beyond comprehension. Some of you are going through that right now. And let me tell you, no matter how easy or hard it is, enjoy each and every moment. Sit back and reflect when you can. When you're on the toilet going to the bathroom, that's the only moment you have. Sit back and just be thankful and grateful that you're going through it because it's life happening. Those days might feel like a blur right now, but they will also shape who you will become and who you are today. It's easy to lose that youthful spirit and enthusiasm when responsibilities pile up. The laundry piles up, the dishes pile up, your schedule piles up. But holding on to that essence, remembering what it feels like and what it felt like to be full of hope and energy and excitement as a new parent, wondering what the kid's going to look like, wondering what they're going to get into. It's all exciting. And it can also be a key to maintaining your well-being as the years go by. Ask yourself, why did I choose to become a parent? What are my initial dreams, joys, and motivation? Keep asking yourself that when it gets a little rough around the edges. I'm telling you, it'll pay off. Often reconnecting with that youthful energy can reinvigorate us and remind us to approach parenting from a place of love and playfulness. Even as kids grow up, it's important because the energy we bring into our role as parents directly influences the relationships we have with our children. And right now I'm talking about parenthood, but I could be talking about being a husband, being a wife, being a partner, because we're all going to go through transitions. We're all going to change. And even though we may or may not be a parent, things are happening around us that affect our lives, that change us as human beings. And we have to remember the early days, the youthfulness and the energy that we had from the beginning. Things may come together in a way that we never thought they would come together, and things may fall apart. This is life. So always ask yourself questions: why I became a parent, why I became a partner, what were my dreams, what were my initial dreams, and do they still hold true, or do I need to change them? And what does change look like? Now, evolving wellness as a mother or a parent and the impact it has on your family. Parenthood is a journey of constant change. And as our children grow, so do our roles, responsibilities, and of course, our relationships with them. But amidst all these transitions, one thing often gets pushed aside: our wellness. We tend to focus on meeting everyone else's needs while forgetting to fill our own cup. And that was one thing that I learned as I got older and as my kids were getting older. I was so used to taking care of them that I forgot to take care of myself. Prioritizing your wellness as a mom isn't a one-size-fits-all. It looks very different at every stage of our life. For me, it was pretty similar. I was just telling my daughter yesterday, we were talking about transitioning from college to real life and, what is life going to look like after soccer? And I told her, I said, you're going to have to try a couple of different things because it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. Your schedule may allow you to have a wellness journey that's full and vibrant, and it may not. For me, all I know is running. So for me, it was easy. And I learned over the years that I didn't have to run 3 miles every single day. I could run a mile and then maybe lift weights on a different day or do some type of different aerobics, cycling or taking a class to keep myself in shape. It looked very different over the years, but at the same time, it was consistent because that's all that I knew. Prioritizing wellness as a mom, like I said, isn't a one size fits all. It looks different at every single stage of life because your kids are young and you have to figure out how to navigate around a newborn. You have to figure out how to navigate around kids who are just starting school and then you have to go to work. Or you might have a full day of, you know, preparing the house for your family. It might be squeezing in a 10-minute walk while your baby takes a nap or asking a family member to step in for a break. As they grow older, it might mean rediscovering old hobbies that you had, connecting with friends, or redefining who you are beyond the title of a mom. And man, let me tell you something, that's hard. Think about it. When you've been a mom for 20 something years and then now you're not, what do you do with yourself? Think about your own mother. She was your mom for however old you were. And even though you were done at 18 or 21, you might have siblings that were younger than you, and she had to continue being a mom 5 years later, 8 years later. Sometimes there are gaps between you and your younger siblings. She may have gotten remarried and had younger kids. And then, like, that's 30 years of her life being a mom. And that's all that she knows. And you look at her like, what's wrong with you? Well, that's all that she knows is being a mom. And that's one thing I had to learn with my own mom. She was a mom well past my 18 years. My brother's 8 years younger than me. So even though I was kind of like on my own by 21, 22, she had 8 more years. She had 30 years of being a mom if you're looking at him being done at 18 or 21. And even when I was in my 40s, they helped me through a lot of stuff. Parenting doesn't really end. So, we knock our parents for being a certain way, but they've been parents for a very long time. And it's one job in their life that is consistent. There are some parents who know exactly when to cut their kids off, and they cut them off. It doesn't mean the love stops. However, our well-being doesn't just affect us. It directly impacts our kids. When we take care of our physical, emotional, and mental health, we're modeling healthy habits for our children. They're observing how we handle stress, practice self-care, and value our time. This becomes a powerful blueprint for how they'll approach their own lives and relationships. So, what's interesting about being a parent, whether you stay with your mate or you get a divorce, and what I just said about how we take care of ourselves reflects how our children take care of themselves, it's very, very true. And that's one thing I learned being a divorced parent is that the way I take care of myself reflects how my children take care of themselves. And so there's a lot of conversation between me and my older girls on how to take care of ourselves and how to practice self-care. And even though I'm talking to them and telling them, you have to do this, you have to do that, or make sure you take care of this and make sure you take care of that, they've watched how I've taken care of myself. And it took a couple of years for them to figure out what self-care looks like for them. My youngest one embraces self-care, and she knows how to take care of herself. And that's one thing that I'm really, really proud of with both my girls is when they build boundaries, they take care of themselves, they redirect their energy where they need it to be redirected, and they move forward in a way that just makes me really proud as a parent. And does it affect me sometimes? Of course it does. But at the end of the day, I know they're taking care of themselves. And that's them being on their own wellness journey. Now, building healthy relationships with your kids, it's different for everyone. Raising daughters for me, and I'm only talking in my perspective, raising sons, I think, is a very different journey. Me and my girlfriends have that conversation all the time. But either way, it's a unique journey filled with shared experiences and changing dynamics. And let me tell you something, everybody gets hurt somehow during this unique journey. As they grow, our role as a mother shifts. Our relationships with them evolve. It's not just about teaching and nurturing, it's about adapting, supporting, and being a steady presence. And being a steady presence for me is extremely important. And it doesn't mean that being a steady presence is always perfect, because as a parent, as someone who's a caretaker, you have to evolve as well. I'm going to give you a general idea, and this is very general. I am not a child psychologist. I am not a child expert. And a lot of people think because my kids have done so well that I'm an expert and they want to know the inside scoop. There is no inside scoop. There's a lot of open conversation. There have been a lot of disagreements and a lot of arguments, but there have also been very hard conversations on what I'm looking for and what they're looking for. So this is a generalization, and I broke it up in different ages. And again, take what you need that's going to help you, and then do your own research. Talk to your kids. Have these hard conversations when it's appropriate and when your kid can handle it, okay? Now, ages 0 to 5, during these early years, our focus is on nurturing a sense of security and trust. These foundational years are when your words, actions, and how you show love shape their view of a relationship. That is so true. They need to see that you are there for them, that there is security and trust in what you're doing for them, so that when they go out into the world and come home, you are that foundation. Now, having said that, you have to be ready for the tantrums, the arguments, and the disagreements that you're going to have with your children, because you are the foundation, you are the basis. They believe that you can take on whatever they throw at you. And this is going to hold true for the rest of your life. So as a parent and a caretaker, you're going to feel the brunt of a lot of stuff, and then you're going to see other people outside of your home get the sweet side of your kid. But remember, don't take that personally. You are their foundation. You are their rock. And they feel like they can come to you with anything. And that's where that comes from. Ages 6 to 11, this is a period of discovery. Your son or daughter is finding their own voice and they're exploring their identity. Let me give you a funny example. I remember when she started learning curse words from her friends, and she knew that curse words weren't good words, but there was a moment where she wanted something, and she was in school, so she was probably 7 or 8. And she didn't get what she wanted from one of us. And instead of using the word mother F word, it was her dad who she got mad at. And so, he said no to whatever it was she wanted. And she said, "You know what? You're a father effer." And that's when I knew my kid was smart. And I mean, he turned 3 different colors. He was so angry, but I had to tell him, look, just calm down. Let's explain to her what curse words are and what words she shouldn't use, and then explain to her why we can't give her whatever it is that she wants. And so it was her finding her voice and trying to get a rise basically out of us. And she became kind of good at that. But at the same time, she was trying to figure out what she could say and what she couldn't say. And then how was she going to express herself when she needed something or wanted something? Of course, cursing wasn't going to help. So she found other ways to be herself and to get what she wanted. You have funny moments, but not everything is a spanking or a punishment. Sometimes you have to sit back and wonder, why is your child acting this way, and what is it that they need, and how can I provide it for them in a way where we can get through this conversation, or we can get through this argument. Moving on to ages 12 to 17. Oh, those teen years. The teen years come with their own set of challenges: peer pressure, self-discovery, and sometimes, a lot of times, conflict. Your role is to be a safe space where she or he feels heard and understood. And that goes back to, you being that solid foundation. So when they come home with the attitude and the meanness, and, you don't know where it's coming from, you don't have to take the disrespect, but you have to understand that they are frustrated. They're growing into adults. Their bodies are going through changes. People are treating them like crap. Think about middle school. Middle school alone is like, excuse my language, but hell on earth sometimes for people. And then sometimes that's what high school is too. Kids are mean, and they need you to just be able to listen and be quiet and just understand where they're coming from. Modeling emotional resilience and prioritizing your mental health is very critical here. So remember that. Moving into what I'm living with right now, ages 18 to 23, this transition to adulthood, it's hard on everybody. Where your son or daughter starts making their own decisions, and you need to step aside and allow them to make these decisions. It's time to let go and trust that all the work that you put into them, they will remember and make the right decisions. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they fall flat on their face. Sometimes it can be disappointing to you, but you're going to have to let go and let them figure it out. Focus on your own dreams and aspirations while staying emotionally available. This new dynamic helps him or her see you, not just as a parent, but as a complete individual. Now, that last sentence, I don't know if they're going to see you as a complete individual or even a human being, but you have to sit back and allow them to live their own life, make their own decisions, and allow them to come to you with questions. And then just answer them the best way that you can. And don't answer them like you're telling them what to do. Answer them like you're answering a question from a good friend. It is the hardest thing to do. And for me, it's the hardest transition, because this goes back to what I was talking about before. Being a mother, looking at your parents. They were parents for a very long time. And it's hard to break that mold. But here is where you have to start breaking that mold, listening to your kids as young adults, understanding what they need, and just provide advice. You're just giving advice, and they have to go out in the world and live their own life. Now, nurturing the mother-daughter relationship, or the parent-son, daughter, whatever you have, can be one of the most enriching and at times most complicated relationships. It's a blend of mentorship, friendship, and mutual growth. As mothers, we have to be adaptable. The key here is communication, open communication, hard conversations, and a lot of listening without judgment. This is where I struggled a lot. And my youngest one reminds me every single time I do it. And I didn't like it at first, but I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it, because they can start talking and then I start talking. And then they can start giving me examples and then I'm giving them examples. And all they want me to do is listen. And so I've come to the conclusion that I just get quiet and I listen. And it's funny, because now they don't always want me to just sit there and be quiet. They're like, why are you not saying anything? So it shifts as they get older. And we're learning how to communicate, and it changes year after year, month after month. The hardest thing that I've had to deal with is the control and letting go. Being an empty nester on my own, understanding that they now have their own life, their own friends, their own space. It has been extremely tough. I have conversations with other parents going through the same thing. I work very hard to shift the conversation from mom to advisor. And if I go into advice mode, I ask before I give too much information. It's a hard transition, but I want to be in my daughter's lives. And if I'm talking too much, I want to know. If they want to know something, I want to know. And if the conversation goes left, I want to know. Even if it makes me mad or makes me crazy in my head, I want to know. And my girls are growing up building very healthy boundaries, even though I may not like it all the time. And they're building their own lives. And that's what I'm proud of, because I get to see what they have accomplished in a way that I never thought I could see it. Because I allowed myself to step back, let go, and just let them be. Now, family wellness as a whole. Wellness isn't just for us parents. It's about fostering a healthy environment for the entire family. And when you prioritize your own wellness, you're setting the stage for your kids to figure out what wellness looks like for them. For moms, for parents, find ways to recharge your energy, whether it's through meditation, creative outlets, or simply enjoying a quiet moment. Consistent self-care habits, no matter how small, add up over time. For the kids, make wellness a family practice. Teach your kids, young and old, that taking care of themselves isn't just for grown-ups. Encourage them to eat healthy, stay active, and engage in emotional expression. Early conversations about mental health and resilience can set them on a path of a lifelong wellness journey. For dads out there, or whoever is playing the dad role, slow down. Take a moment to breathe and let go. Don't bring the office home. Same for moms. Don't bring that office home. Bring mom and dad home. Bring love home. And check the emotions at the door. Find a way to recharge and connect with family every day consistently. Parenthood is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And honestly, it's an ultra marathon. It's a journey of growth and adaptation for both you and your kid. By prioritizing your wellness and nurturing strong, healthy relationships, you're laying the foundation for your children to thrive in all aspects of their lives. Remember, self-care isn't selfish. I'm going to say that every podcast if I have to. It's necessary. The better we take care of ourselves, the better we can take care of others. Now, I have 5 reflective questions to ask yourself as a parent and as a caretaker, just so you can prioritize your own well-being. Number 1, am I getting enough rest and sleep? Consider whether you feel physically and mentally refreshed, or if you're exhausted. Number 2, have I taken time to eat nutritious meals and stay hydrated? It's easy to skip meals. It's easy not to drink your water. It's easy to eat poorly when caretaking. But proper nutrition is crucial for sustaining energy. And nowadays, there's so many ways for you to eat healthy. So find those ways, stack up the refrigerator, and make sure that you're eating healthy. Number 3, am I balancing caregiving responsibilities with personal time for hobbies or relaxation? I know sometimes this is hard, but try and find the time to reflect on whether you're making time for activities that bring you joy and reduce stress. It's only going to help everyone in the long run. Number 4, Do I have a support system I can lean on when I need help or a break? Assess whether you're reaching out to friends, family, or professional resources for emotional or practical support. This is one thing that I struggled with raising my girls, asking for help. Never hesitate to ask for help because it's only going to benefit you, which will benefit your family. And number 5, how am I feeling emotionally and mentally right now? Check in on your own emotions. Are you feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or resentful? Recognizing and validating your feelings is the first step toward addressing them. And find someone safe that you can share your emotions with, whether it's a family member, a friend, or even a therapist. Find your safe space. All right, that's all I got for y'all. I'm no longer a young parent. I'm an older parent, so I got things I got to do. So remember everything I shared with you. Until next time, keep rising. Bye. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember, this podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, take care. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. That's what they told me to do at the end of this podcast. So could you hook me up? Thanks. Bye.